Hi, I am going to show you now the video number 5 that is based in lesson plan number 5. The informative data, the school name, it does not apply. The theme, past simple B. Date, December 11, 2020. Grade, first baccalaureate, class length 45 minutes. Proficiency level, elementary 82.2 CEFR. The lesson plan designer, Laura Salazar Viteri, that is me. For the TEFL objectives, during these lessons, students will be able to, for listening, identify and follow instructions as well as understanding a description of a family. For speaking, use of past simple, be accurately. For reading, identify was, were words in a script. And for writing, construct the description of a famous family using past simple be. The methods that I use for this lesson are audiolingual method, total physical response, direct method, task-based language learning. The strategies that I used for creating this lesson was the use of technology, set realistic expectations and goals, visual and manipulatives, speak slowly, use differentiation, whole class work, pair work, and individual work. In the anticipatory set, the teacher talks about her immediate family, introducing basic family words that students will need. For example, I've got one brother and one sister. That is one example of the sentences that the teacher will use for introducing her immediate family. In the main teaching input, for the warm-up activity, teacher asks to students to draw their own family tree. Teacher shows students an example of how to do it, and students need to show it to a partner and talk about it when they finish. So the example that the teacher will show the students will be this. So she's going to put the names. In this case, she put a photo of their family, but students don't need to put a photo because they are not going to have it. But they can use, they can do a family tree just putting their names of their families and the lines that connect each person. So when students finish, they need to show it to a partner and talk about their family tree. Teacher shows students how past simple be work. Teacher writes a sentence on the board. Greg's grandfather, born in 1937. So you have a gap in here, and the teacher points the gap, and she asks the students, what's this word? Teacher elicit was and say this is called the past simple. What's the verb? And teacher elicit be. Teacher shows when to use was or were and how to make a negative sentence. Students complete a table with was, weren't, was, wasn't, or weren't. Here is the table that they need to complete. So here they have all the positive forms, and here they have the negative forms that they need to complete. Of course, they have the first sentences, it's already done for there. So for example, I was ill, I wasn't ill. So they need to complete this table. Teacher checks the answers by copying the table in the board and asking individual students to come up and complete the gaps. That way, the teacher will know if they are understanding or not, and how she can help the students. Students completed worksheet about past simple be. So in the first part, students need to underline the correct word or circle the correct word. They already have an example here. I was on holiday last week. or I were on holiday last week. So they need to complete it in here. So in this case, the correct was I was. They need to circle or underline the word that they want, that it will be the correct word. For the second part, they need to rewrite the sentences so that they are about the past. So they need to put it in past. So it's, for example, my father's a manager. My father was a manager. They need to complete with the past of these words. In the third part, they need to put the words in the correct order to make questions. So they need to make questions. They only have words and they need to put it in the correct order to form questions. So for example, the first one, they have born, you were where. Where were you born? And they need to put the question mark at the end. And they need to complete these questions. Teacher will monitor the activity while they are doing it. And teacher and students check the answers as a class when they already finish. The students read a script, then they need to underline all the was or were words they can find. Here is the script that they need to read, and then they need to underline or circle the words was or were, all of them that they can find in this script. Teacher and students check the answers as a class. Students make detailed notes about the people in their family tree. Students in pairs ask and answer questions about their family trees. Teacher monitor and listen for correct use of family vocabulary, years, dates, and the way they use the verb be. Then the teacher projects an assessment on the board. Each student needs to complete a gap using the words were, was, wasn't, or weren't. Here is the assessment that the teacher will project on the board. And she is going to ask each student to complete the sentences using these words. That way she is going to know who understood the lesson and who needs a little bit more of support. Then the teacher and the students conclude the class by reviewing the topic briefly. For the modeling part, the examples teacher gives at the beginning of the class and the answers to the exercise will provide students with the clear contextualized models, which will show students correct form and examples of use in context. For the guided practice, students draw their own family tree. Students complete a table with was, were, wasn't, or weren't. Students complete a worksheet about past simple, be. Students read a script, then underline all the was or were words they can find. Students make detailed notes about the people in their family tree. Students in pairs ask and answer questions about their family trees. For all of this guided activity, teacher walks around the class to monitor each activity. At the end of each activity, they check the answers with the whole group. For the independent practice, students need to write a description of a famous family using past simple be. Teacher monitor and help with vocabulary if necessary. Students read their description to the class, but without saying their names. Their classmates listen and identify the missing names. For the assessment part, teacher projects an assessment on the board. Each student needs to complete a gap using the words were, was, wasn't, or weren't. And for the closing review and follow-up, the class will be concluded by reviewing the topic briefly. And for homework, students need to write more detailed notes about someone in their family using the past simple be. So it is very important that when you conclude a class, you have to review the topic with the class briefly because you just finished with the topic. But it is very important so they can close the topic and they can understand better. Sometimes they miss something in the class, but when you conclude by reviewing the topic, maybe that questions that they have, it will be answered with this closing review and follow-up. Thank you very much. That will be all.